Hi everyone, my name is Mathilda and I have worked for Culture Care Au Pair here in Switzerland for 5 years. I have also been an au pair. I was living in New York taking care of 4 small children. And I am very happy to be hosting today's webinar. During your exchange, there are so many strengths, skills and experience that you gain and gather that you will carry with you beyond your au pair term. So what we wanted was to bring something that will apply beyond your au pair year or years, something that will apply later in life and also in your future careers. We have already talked about how to frame your au pair experience, how to write a resume. So what we wanted was to focus on how to brand yourself, your personal branding. Our generation today is the creators of personal brand, you can say. Your personal brand is something that is more relevant than ever in a time where we are all online, we're all connected and integrated, and pretty much everything you do is known by everyone or could be known and seen by everyone around the world. Your personal brand will be there even if you don't do anything. Your brand is everything you do, even if you are passive. And that's why we're going to talk about how you can actively take ownership and reflect about your personal brand. We are going to talk about what is your personal brand, how do we express our personal brand, and how do we lead with our personal brand. But first, let's do a little bit of a reflection activity. So grab a piece of paper or your phone, and at the top, I want you to write down the things you are known for. For example, if I think about myself, I think that I am positive, kind, and caring, for example. So write down a few things. Great. And at the bottom, what are some words your friends would use to describe you? For example, it could be loyal, good listener. Write down a few things that they would use to describe you. Okay, we will get back to this later, but let's start about digging into what personal branding is. What does it mean? As I mentioned before, your personal brand is something that already exists, whether or not you know what it means. The important thing about personal brand is that it reflects how you portray yourself to the world. And I think, especially during your time as an au pair, you have the opportunity to impact so many people. Personal branding is what people say about you when you are not in the room. So personal brand is the association people have to your name. Your personal brand is how you promote yourself. It is the unique combination of skills, experience, and personality that you want the world to see you. It is the telling of your story and how it reflects your behavior, spoken and unspoken words, and attitudes. It is defined by everything you do, from what you wear, to how you write emails, to how you talk on the phone. You use your personal branding to differentiate yourself from other people. In fact, there are a number of reasons why understanding and building your own personal brand can add tremendous value to your life. It allows you to showcase your best self, stand out from your peers, demonstrate your values through your actions, understand your strengths and your weaknesses, and become more confident. Your personal brand helps people believe they know you better, and people have much higher trust in those they feel they know, even public people they have never met personally. Let's take some examples. For example, here we have Oprah Winfrey, Barack Obama, and Lady Gaga. It's crazy how much you can tell from a picture. After looking at these 3 pictures, what is their brand? Even just by seeing a picture without even knowing them, or maybe you do, I don't know them, but you still have an impression of what they are like. These are certain parts of them that they show us of what they do, what they say, or how they interact that makes us think of them in a certain way. For example, when you think of Oprah, maybe you think of words like confident, determined, kind-hearted, and generous. And for Obama, maybe words like strong, calm, and charismatic comes to mind. And when thinking of Lady Gaga, maybe you think of words like unique, pushing boundaries, and talented. To sum it up, there are many ways to describe personal brand, but this is one definition. Your actions plus your interactions equals your personal brand. We can break that down a little. Think about what are some things that you are doing in your community, what are some things you're doing with your host family and your friends. How are your actions and interactions turning into your personal brand? What are the things that you do every day, the signals you are sending out, the messages you are sending in your day-to-day life? Because in the end, that is your personal brand. Now when we know what personal brand means, let's talk about how do you express your personal brand. There are different ways to do it, but I would say the best you can do is to be yourself. When you are trying to portray yourself to the world, just be yourself. And now maybe you're thinking, but how do I know who I am? And you have maybe heard of this quote before, be yourself, everyone else is already taken, or be yourself, no one can ever tell you you're doing it wrong. I think that is how you should lead your life. You are who you are and just try to be the best version of yourself. So again, when I talk about be yourself, many of you are still probably thinking, how do I know who I am? It is a difficult topic because no one will ever show up and tell you who you are. And if they do, it might not even be true, right? And it's not that you can sit down and know exactly who you are because we are constantly changing. But it's really important to take some time and think about and understand who you are. And from there, you can build your personal brand. One way of how you can do that is to frequently do some self-reflection. It doesn't have to be often. Just take a few minutes before bed on a piece of paper or on your phone. The more you self-reflect, the better your personal brand will be and also more authentic. Here are some questions to think about. What makes you happy? What are some situations you find yourself in when you are the most happy, feeling fulfilled, etc.? What are your core values? What are some things that are important to you? What are your interests and passions? These are the things that motivate you to devote energy to them, and they determine how you want to spend your time. So this is something you can do a little bit now and then. We are going to move forwards. When you guys have reflected a little bit about who you are, let's talk about your toolkit, how to develop your personal brand. From your reflections, there are some things that are significant for your personal brand, and that is 3 things: your personality, your experiences, and your strengths. Your personality can be an action or an interaction with other people. When you're positive, maybe you're smiling, but it can also be that you are innovative or solution-oriented. Everything from being humble, kind, and thoughtful are all things that you can bring out in your action in your day-to-day. Maybe you think kind thoughts in your head all the time, but are your actions and interactions actually showing that? The next thing are your life experiences. You're having so many experiences right now as an au pair, experiences that gives you more knowledge about yourself, and sharing that is a big part of your personal brand, and to build your personal brand through storytelling and sharing your experiences. And what is the better way to interact with others than to share your stories? And lastly would be your strengths, bringing out your strengths and utilizing your strengths in your action and interactions. For example, I always try to use my outgoing and positivity to make myself be a welcoming person and hope that people see me as someone who is kind and warm. And these 3 things I use in my career and in life in general. I try to utilize my personality and strengths that I built from my experience when I think about my personal brand, and think, how can my actions reflect them? And how can my interactions reflect them? Okay, if you can bring back what you wrote in the beginning, if you look at the top things, those are your actions. Those are the things that you have done that made you reflect who you are and that you think you are. And if you now look at the bottom, those are your interactions. These are the things that you are learning about you from how others see you. If these two things are the same words, then that is awesome. Then you are reflecting who you think you are and expressing it. If there are words that you don't like or would like to be there, then think about that and how your actions can be reflected on that and how you want to express yourself. I don't think we can talk about personal brand without talking about social media. And as we talked about, it is what you are putting out there to the world. If you look at yours or other social media, what does that say about you? The activity we did with Oprah, Obama, and Lady Gaga, we had opinions about them without even knowing them. So when you go through your own social media, what are you saying or presenting to the world? Everyone today can Google. As much as we would love to believe that what happens on Facebook stays on Facebook, it just isn't the case. The more important the job you're seeking, the more probable it is that employers and recruiters will search the web to find out who you really are. If you made insensitive comments on Twitter or your Instagram feed reveals questionable behavior, that's not going to do you any favors. Some things to think about. What does the words, the picture you post say about you? Is it along with the things you want to be known for? In this digital world with all the social media, this is very important. If they are along with what you want and they are positive, then continue with it. That's great. But if there are negative things, how can you change that? How would you move that into the message you want to send out to people around you? Something else to think about is, how is your personal brand evolving? If you would have asked me 10 years ago what my brand is, it would have been very different from what I would tell you today. It is both because of personal growth, but also because the audience and who I interact with is very different today. So when you are in school or when you are working, it will be different. Maybe you want to think about that. What do you want your future manager or future professor to think about you? Let's finish up with talking about how you can lead with your personal brand. We talked about how you build it, but what is the way you can lead your personal brand in a positive way? And why is it important to lead with your personal brand and share it? Your brand should help you to stand out, and this can be tricky, especially in the early stages of your career. But in composing your resume or your LinkedIn profile and talking about yourself in job interviews, it helps enormously to highlight things that make you unique from others. It pays to communicate something unique about yourself, even if it's a hobby or something not directly related to the opportunity you're seeking, as long as it helps people relate to you and remember who you are. Here, adding your experience as an au pair can truly help you stand out, to show that you lived in another country, speak fluent English, and so many more things. So to summarize, when I think about your personal brand, I think about the relationship you create with your surrounding and the people around you. What are your actions saying and your interaction expressing? There are 3 parts. To share your values, things you stand for that you think is important, to express your passion and interest, and lastly, to be true to yourself. And why is this important? The thing is that what vibe you give off and what your personal brand express is also what you will attract. And to be true to yourself and work on what you want to be and what values you want to send out, if you do that, you will hopefully have a personal brand that you are proud of. And lastly, one more reminder, life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. Thank you so much for listening to this webinar. I hope you learned some interesting things today. To watch more in our development series, please head to our YouTube channel, Culture Care Ambassador. Thank you guys so much.